First thing that I want to ask you before we get into your life journey is that how did you decide on being a photographer?
Okay, so everybody says that they always wanted to be a photographer since they were kids and stuff like that. I don't have that story, to be very frank. I never knew I was interested in photography as a kid. But after my 12th, I decided on doing graphic design. And coming from a background where my parents are both surgeons, it was I mean, they were very supportive. it was it was not an easy decision for me because I felt, what are people going to say and stuff. But then I finally decided on going on to graphic designs, and my parents were very supportive. So I did my graphic design at Symbiosis Pune, and it was a 2-year course. So in the second year of my course, I had photography as a subject, and we had a photography professor called Vijay sir. Uh, so he was very enthusiastic about teaching us, and that was the subject I started liking. I was not very attracted towards the design side of it, the drawing side of it. I was not very good at it either. So I realized that this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. I definitely want to do something in photography. So that's when in the second year I decided on taking it up seriously, and I started looking at colleges that I can approach, and I I knew that Shari was the one I wanted to get into. So I also came to see the college before, and I spoke to you, and I loved the setup. And you all were so warm as well, and so understanding with the students. You explained everything so well. So I decided, yeah, this is a college I definitely want to go to. So that's been my journey from to become a photographer. How my journey started actually.
That's interesting. Uh, but I'm glad that you preferred to do a formal training than going around in circles. And that time there was nothing much anyway. But great that you did that, and I'm very happy because I got a very good student to mold into what she's become today,
Yes.
mother of two.
Mother of
and
two
work
now.
and working very hard, which is what I like. Okay, now one way I want to do, what I need to ask you to do is, I want you to share your journey, but at the same time, instead of just sharing your journey verbally, let's see if we can take them through with a nice presentation, if you
That's fine.
can.
Yeah,
Would that be,
yeah.
yeah, that would be great. Okay, that'll be great.
Rhythm, I'm sharing the screen, right?
I think she's waiting for you to share. Okay.
The connection is a bit unstable at mine, so I prefer that Rhythm does it so it doesn't disconnect.
No issues. I'll share my screen. No problem. I love your logo. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So one of my friends actually helped me doing that. One of my
I
very
don't
close friends
believe you
did that.
have this picture. I don't believe you have this picture. I
Yeah,
don't know if I have this picture. Yeah.
I really, I knew it was there somewhere, so I dug it up. I said I have to show this to sir. I have such fond memories of college as well. So this was the day where they announced the Master Craftsman, and it's also very dear to me because both my grandparents had come to see, they'd come for the convocation. So my grandmom started crying when she realized I had won so many awards. So it was an emotional thing for me as well, and I'm happy they got to see that part of it because I used to stay with them. So they were a big part of my journey as a photographer as well. So this was me getting the award for Master Craftsman, by the Vice President of Canon, Mr. Alok
Alok
Bharadwaj.
Bharadwaj, yeah, that's right. Alok Bharadwaj. Yeah.
Yeah,
Very
so
dynamic guy at that time. Mhm.
yeah, so that was so after I finished Shari for a couple of months. I was wanting to assist a photographer, but I didn't know who to assist. I was actually looking at who to go to. I went to a couple of photographers. Some of them said we don't have a vacancy right now and stuff like that. So I told you about it, and I remember very clearly one day you called up and told me, why don't you go to Jerry Pobroy? He has a vacancy in his studio. So I said, yeah, I'd love to do that. So I took my portfolio. I never went with my laptop. I was very clear that I wanted to show prints. I wanted to do it the traditional way. So I took my heavy
So
portfolio that I had done for Shari.
works all the
And
time.
Yeah. So then I took it to Jaideep, and he was really sweet, and he went through my portfolio and stuff like that. And he was also, I think, very happy to see somebody who's actually gotten their portfolio and not gotten images on the USB. So I think that kind of helped. So when I showed him my work at that point in time, he said, I have a vacancy for an assistant. So why don't you start working and we'll see how it goes. So that's how I started assisting Jerry in 2007, and I assisted him for almost 2.5 years. And it's been a memorable journey. I learned so much on the job, and he does food photography as well. Now he does a lot of lifestyle photography. So I got to learn both sides of it. And what actually helped me in the whole journey is not only the photography bit of it that I got to learn, but when we were on the job, we had to do a bit of production as well. Sometimes we had to do the styling as well, because the client, the situation demanded it, to be very frank. So this was one of the shoots, where we were shooting in Maldives, and we had to do like a pool shot, but we had to do a section of it. So I was doing the styling bit of it, and I was preparing for this shot as well. So this was clicked during that time. So I just wanted to like do it in a creative way that, we also did the styling bit of it. I also did that. So it helped me along the way when I started doing photography on my own as well. When we do interior clients or hotel clients, you have to have that sensibility on how do you do the styling, depending on who your client is. So this is one of the pictures for the styling. The next image kind of shows what it looked like. Yeah, this is not the actual shot that was given to the client. This is just a grab for my reference, what it's going to look like. So this was one of the things that we did. And the next, yeah, so and also important part of the journey when I was assisting Jaideep Oberoi was that he gave us a lot of free hand as well. He said, why don't you all experiment with some food pictures, before we start the actual shoot. I think that kind of really helped me understand what actually goes behind clicking a picture, because when you shoot restaurants, it's a very different task altogether, because you have to make use of whatever props they have with them. You can't really use your own props because you have to show what is authentic to the restaurant. So we used to click some pictures for ourselves and kind of experiment with it as well. So that kind of helped me along the way. So this is doing one of the shots for food for my reference. So it was really sweet of him to let us experiment on the job as well.
One of the things that I have realized when some of my students, I think we have a huge list of students who have assisted Jaideep. Jaideep seems to be absolutely in love with our kids, which is pretty good for our guys, actually. And I think one of the reasons is you, because he said the way she set up my whole place and made it work in the way I wanted it, that I never had to be worried about what's my back end going to be. And it was like bang on target. I like the way the system went in, was put into place and things like that. In fact, you were one of the few who opened the door for Shadi's student to go to Jaideep on a regular basis. Even now, I think that 2 or 3 of the students are from Shadi Academy. Another thing that I also understood, which is the joke I was going to crack, because the first picture which you showed me of with Alok Bhardwaj, you see, I have always, the 2 years that you were with me, I'd always seen you in your funny jeans and your t-shirts, and then suddenly on that day you keep wearing a dress, and I said, what happened to her, So that's something.
And straight hair.
Yeah. So that's what happened. That's one thing that even Jaideep also teaches our students, is that they should know how to dress. They should know how, when you're in a 5-star, what kind of decorum there is, what kind of etiquette there is. So when you study formal and then you assist a professional, there is a definite, inputs that are coming in from both. And I think that makes sense. It makes it a good system that works for my kids, which I'm very happy with. Yeah, let's see your next one.
So this picture I've actually included because most people think that, oh, you're going for hotel shoots, you're shooting with a photographer who shoots for Taj and Hyatt and all. You go to the most amazing locations and you get to see the most amazing things. But what they don't realize is that when you are on the job, your work starts at 4 in the morning and you're slogging it till like 7 or 8 in the evening. You do not get a break. You only get time to have lunch because you're busy setting up for the next shot. So when we went for the Maldives shoot, where this picture was taken, this place was very well known for feeding stingrays. So every evening at 5 o'clock sharp, the stingrays would come ashore for people to feed them. Like, so smart. At the dot of 5, they'd be there. But we were there for a week, and I'm not kidding. We didn't get to even look at the sea till the 7th day. We told Derek, please give us like half an hour. We want to go see the beach, you know. So, I mean, we wrapped up shoot early at around, I think, 4:30 or something. And this was the last day of the shoot in a beautiful location like Maldives. We got like a little 1 hour or 1.5 hour maximum to have our gun time. So this is one of the shots that we took them. This is for memory's sake, you know. So I just want to tell everybody, assisting is not all fun and games. It's a lot of hard work, a lot of sleepless nights. So it's a huge task, definitely, but a lot of learning as well. So I think everybody should assist. I mean, it's a very, very important part of your journey. You learn so much on the job. It's half and half. Half you learn in school. Your basics have to be strong. Your teachers teach you a lot of things. Up to you how much you want to learn and how much you want to absorb. I remember even in Shari, when I started photography, I was not clear as to which branch of photography I wanted to take up. But as I went along, it became more and more clear to me that I wanted to take up food photography, and I started working in that direction. And so you and all the other faculty also supported us a lot to get there, you know, to build our portfolio, tell us what our mistakes were. So I think all that absorbing of knowledge is so important in your, beginning of your journey, because that is what takes you a long way. And I think kids these days as well, I have also, seen, I've interacted with a few younger kids, and I realized that they're probably not as serious with what they're doing. But I feel a little sad that they are spending their parents' money, and they have to be really understanding of the fact that this is a once in a lifetime chance. You are not going to get this time again. So you really have to put in that effort and learn the basics and everything, and just go out there and do it. So I think studying and also assisting, because on the job you learn on the job. You know what goes into making it as a photographer. I think that is very, very important.
I agree on it totally. Next, yeah.
So when I can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
it froze for a second. I was not sure
no,
if the problem in my mind.
Loud and clear.
So this was actually, the reason I'm starting with this picture first is because after I finished assisting, I started building my own portfolio, which took about 6 months. And I wanted it to be something that showed my style before I went out and started approaching people for work. So I went to a lot of agencies, I went to a lot of restaurants. I showed people my work. I think I must have gone to at least 20, 30 agencies and restaurants combined, and hotels before I got my first break. And it was worth the wait, because my first client was Vadilal. I shot that with Red Lion, which is a part of Publicis. So they wanted to shoot this for Vadilal Happiness, and they wanted to go with an all-white look. Which is quite tough to shoot.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and it was a balance of both, because you had to really show the texture well, but not overwhelm it with so much white that your food is not really standing out. So this was my first client, so it's really dear to me. These few shots that we are going to talk about, and I'm going to show you.
Mm-hmm.
So these are a couple that we did for them.
Interesting.
This one and the next one as well.
What I'm liking is that you did learn well. Most people forget that when they put the spoon inside the spoon, it becomes dark.
Yeah, yeah,
Get your highlights proper.
yeah.
Good, good,
You
good.
tend, most of them tend to shoot it all right without showing. You know, it's actually a little bit of reflections as well.
Absolutely.
So this was a little difficult to achieve because we were not actually going to be doing cone shots, but on the spur of the moment we decided to go ahead with a cone shot, and I think we literally had two cones, and out of that one had some defect in it, so we could not use it. So we had this one, and we put the scoop and everything, and it was very precariously placed. So I got this shot. Precisely got one shot, and the cone fell and it broke.
That's
So this
happened.
was like a one shot. It wouldn't have been possible if it would have fallen, and it wouldn't have been able to achieve this. So yeah, I'm proud of this shot because of that. So
So that happens a lot. It happens a lot.
yeah.
That's your mother dairy.
So these are like I'm going to be talking about all the clients I've shot so far. So I'll go client wise. So I decided on first showing Mother Dairy because it's such a I mean it's out there right now. This packaging as well. If you buy a Mother Dairy cheese block, you will see the packaging on it. So the brief obviously was it was a very interesting layout that landlord came to me with. So it was half the product itself, which is cheese, and half was what you can make with the cheese. So the cheese block. So they had decided on doing a pizza. So cheese, because it's all slightly yellow, and it has a reflective surface. It was very difficult to shoot cheese. So I'm making every cheese look different. Like a cheese block from this should look different from a cheese slice to a cheese cube. So everything was kind of challenging to shoot, but I think it came out really, really well. And it's out in the market now. So if you do buy Mother Dairy, you'll see these. So this was shot for the cheese block. Then
Okay.
we move to the next one, which is so this we shot for cheese slice. We've done a couple of options, but this one has finally gotten printed. And this was also kind of challenging to shoot because it's all greens, right? They are all leafy greens, which kind of die really fast. And you can't get a perfect green leaf. There are some defects, and you kind of have to work with what you have. So I think in terms of the challenge of the shot also, even like for example this cheese slice that was used on the side where the bird is made, it was like drooping most of the time because you keep the cheese slice out for even 2 minutes, it starts drooping. So there was a lot of effort that went in to put the cheese slice straight and make it stay that way. So this was a long shot. It took us quite a while to do this picture, but I think it looks really it looks cute. And after the shoot, my daughter, when I showed her this picture, she's like, "Mama, I want a sandwich just like that." So after shooting for Mother Dairy, the next 3 days went in literally making sandwiches for her with birds and cats on them and stuff like that. So it was fun.
Interesting.
So yeah. So this is what it looks like now. I specifically included this shot because most of the time you don't really know what the end result looks like. So the shot that I just showed you, the cheese slices look like this now on the packaging. And I also did a cheese spread for them, and this is what it finally looks like on the box as well.
But this
So the
is
swirl
interesting.
also. Sorry, you were saying something, sir?
But this is interesting because even the ice creams and all, if you look at it just like that, then you might wonder
Yeah,
why is this shot like this? But it's only
yeah,
when you see them applied, that is on a packaging, then only you
yeah,
realize, okay, this is what. Because when you're shooting for a client, it's a
yeah.
very different ball game when you shoot as you're shooting for yourself. Yeah. Okay. But this
True.
is more
So
difficult actually.
yeah, and also basically I shot the whole dairy products for them. So this was also I shot Mother Dairy butter for them as well. This it looks very simple, but the cheese blocks, it occupies a small part of the frame in the bowl. But oh my God, they are a nightmare to shoot because they melt so quickly.
Fast,
So
I know.
the food stylist also has to work very quick, and each block has to be the exact size because when it's given to you, it's given to you as a big block. So you have to make every cheese block in the bowl the same size. And even to arrange it, you have to do it really quick, because once it starts melting, the shape is gone. For me, from the photography point of view, lighting up the cheese, not the cheese, the butter cubes were really difficult, because first of all, it's yellow, so it's absorbing a lot of light. And it also has a lot of highlights as well. Like the darker areas are very difficult to manage, and the lighter areas, because they burn out, so they look so burnt out. I think getting the dimensions and make it look like getting the light and shade properly for this shot was quite difficult. So this was a challenge for me, only for the bowl. The rest of it was up my game, so it was fine.
That's
So
what compression curve is all about. Remember?
yeah.
You shoot it in a manner that it prints out proper. More people are shooting in the market because they look good at the back of the camera, but they have no idea what it's going to look like when it gets printed. Next.
Absolutely. I think that's very important, which, you don't really know. I mean, people don't know much if you've not studied photography, but making sure that you have your details intact, even in the shadows and in the highlights, plays a huge role to get the shot look that amazing.
True.
So this was your favorite client, so that you like talking about, called Miss Chotis. So it was but Miss Chotis made a big impact. Let me tell you that. I shot this with Landor, and when they came to me, I loved the layout, and the way it was shot made it also win the Blue Elephant Award 2015 for packaging and design craft, and also the WPP Creme Gold Award. It is an international award, so it was very prestigious, and it was a big deal for the agency and for me as well. So to look at it, looks very simple, but what they had told me was that for this, we want to shoot the ingredients of the sauce that we are going to use. So we have to shoot all the ingredients. So I said, yeah, okay, we'll do that, but little did we know what was in store for us. Because once the shoot started, we got to know what a huge task it was, because all the ingredients were so minute. So I'll take you through the picture, and then we'll zoom into each one, and I'll show you what the ingredients are like. So we can move to the next slide. So this was, like the name suggests, it was curry mayonnaise. But right now it looks like nice geometric designs. But if we zoom into it, I think Ridna will be able to zoom in.
I'll just
yeah, sure.
Share.
Or maybe we can do it in the end. I'll speak about all of them, and then we can zoom into it in the end if you want.
Okay. So we can just see the picture.
Yeah. We can zoom. Yeah. So then, so this was shot with a lot of ingredients like sugar, salt, jeera, curry, क्या बोलते हैं उसको? Cloves and stuff like that, all, and even Nibu slices if you see. So there's so much of it there. There's dhania also in that, the seeds, coriander seeds. So once we zoom in, you'll be able to see that. But it had to be placed in a specific design because they wanted to make it look geometric, and it was really time consuming. And and also I think this was like one of the most difficult shoots till now that I've done, because I was 4 months pregnant with my older one. So I had acid reflux. That was one part of it. Second one was it started at 7 in the morning and went on till 2 in the night. So it was like one of the longest shoots I have done, and we had to be on our feet the whole time. And obviously, since it was such a complex shoot, we all pitched in to kind of help out also with a bit of styling wherever we could, because it was a huge task, and the food stylist did an amazing job with this. So yeah, we can probably move to the next slide to show what the next one looked like. Yeah, this is peri peri. Here there were a lot of red chilies that were used, garlic, chili powder, salt. Those ingredients were used.
Sorry.
We can move to the next one, and once we're done with all of them, we can zoom into one of them and show them. Yeah, this was chickpeas because it was hummus. And there was oil also. You see these yellow stars, that was oil. So that was really difficult to shoot because you had to show the transparency of it as well and make it look like oil as well. It couldn't look, any different. It had to look like oil. So that was a challenge in itself. So yeah, that was one. And the next one I want to talk about, this looks pretty, but it was kind of like a nightmare to shoot. But it was worth the effort because there was so much in pesto. We used these leaves for the shot, but what happened was during styling, um, there was a huge area that we had to style. So what was happening is when we started styling one part of it, we realized that those leaves were drying up within 5 minutes. They were starting to curl up, and they were starting to wilt very easily. So it was a huge challenge to do that, but we shot it in parts, like really quickly, and we had to be very careful that the setup wouldn't move, and we had to have it in the exact same space. It had to be exactly in the layout, because even a bit of movement here and there, then we would have had to start from scratch again. So this was a huge. This shot was a special challenge, but it was good. It was worth the effort because it ended up winning a lot of awards. So
Yeah, I'm just moving through.
I can also show it at mine in case you want to.
No, no, I'm ready. Just give me one.
She's ready. Just 1 second. She'll have to select it and then.
Oh, no worries, no worries. I have it open at mine in case. Yeah.
So that would mean a lot of effort on the whole team.
It is.
And if after doing this, if somebody sneezes, you're going to kick him and throw him out of the window.
Yeah. Masks were not a norm then, otherwise I don't think it would have been a problem.
Yeah. I remember doing something like this with Industrial Diamonds long time back.
Okay.
And one of the assistants sneezed and it flew. And
Oh,
those guys come with the weight, no? Itna carat ka hai. Then one tiny little fart was missing. And we had to clean the studio 3 times before we found that little speck and said, okay, here's your final one. Okay.
So can you see it? I think, yeah, they could probably see it.
Can you be closer? This is it.
Can she do it from her side?
Can you do it from your
I'll
side?
do it
Because
at
otherwise
yeah,
something is bothering you from the water.
Just give me 1 second. I'll just do it at mine. Just let me know if you can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see
The
it, right?
screen is
So let
started.
me start with the first one. If you see, like, these minute details had to be taken care of, and each of the salt squares had to be perfectly in shape. Obviously some of it was taken care in post production, but we had to get it as much as we could right in the camera itself. So this, even if you see all the finer grains and jeera and coriander seeds, the small lumps, it had to be in that particular shape. So it was a difficult, time consuming task, but it was worth it in the end. I'll just show you the next shot.
Really worth it. I mean, when you look at the bottles, you would never realize the effort that has gone behind the whole.
Exactly. So even in this, the chickpeas, even the chili powder, the lemon
Yeah,
slice,
the oil
and
is
I was talking about
fantastic.
the oil.
Good job.
Yeah, it had to have that transparency. If you don't get it right, it looks black. So you had to get that right. The next one is the pesto. These leaves I was talking about. So we had to make them look really fresh and green. And if you see, you can see the small dots of oil also in the middle. So this was also something that was a challenge. I just want to show this last one, and then we can move to the next slide. Yeah, you see, like, cut pieces of garlic and red chilies, and these chilies were also, they all had to be the same size. Others we had to, like, throw them away. We had to use the ones which were the exact size, and so these were a few of them. Yeah, so ma'am, you can take over again. So yeah, that was really worth the effort. It was fun. It was fun.
Fun and painstaking too. There's a lot of hard work put in with the team.
think the next shot is, yeah. So this was shot for Melton, which is, part of the Vadilal Industry Group. So they had only gelatos that they were coming up with. It's also a restaurant. It's not a restaurant, but it's like a gelato parlor. But they also serve a few knickknacks over there. So we had to shoot those as well. And this one, the 2014 Blue Elephant Award for brand identity. And this was shot with Red Lion again, which is a part of Publicis. So they had I was very intrigued by this shoot, and I really wanted to do it because it was completely different from what I usually shoot, and what you see mostly in the market. It was a totally black background and dark pictures where the food is popping out, that sort of a thing. So I really wanted to do the shoot, and I did a lot of homework before actually doing the shoot. So these are a couple of the shots that were done there. And this was also a challenge in itself because gelato melts like really quick. We couldn't use anything fake. We had to use all the real stuff. And another challenge added to that was because it was a gelato parlor that was just being started. Everything was not in huge quantities. We had very limited quantities to work with. So we could make, like, for example, just to give you an example, we could make only 3 scoops. If in those three scoops you don't get it, then you have a problem. You're going to have a problem because you don't have any more gelato to play with. Even like if once we go next to the next shot, I'll just show you that as well. I'll be able to explain more. Yeah, so this was this was an watermelon flavor gelato that they wanted to show. And even these slices that we got for the watermelon gelato, I think there were only 6 of them, and we selected the best 4. And we had to freeze it, and just before the shot, we could put it on the plate. So we kind of knew where it's gonna go, but didn't know exactly. So I had a window of only 1 minute, I think 1.5 minute to do the shot, because it was I think peak summers also at that time. In Ahmedabad we did the shoot on location, and it was a difficult task because it was peak summers in Ahmedabad, so everything was melting really quick. And yeah, I think we pulled it off really well. And another interesting story to this one is that we had to use a lot of interesting backgrounds, like slightly grungy backgrounds, dark backgrounds, wooden backgrounds. So we had carried a lot of props from Mumbai as well. But we wanted to do something a little different for this, and our backgrounds, which are the wooden ones, were not really working. So we started looking around, since it was a bit of construction site also. Everything was not in place. The flooring was also not in place. We were shooting on in the location where even the flooring was not done. So we started looking around, and these green foldable tables that are there, they use for these parties and stuff. So this was one of the tables that was lying around, and we loved the texture on it because it was all rusted. So we decided on using this for the shot, and I think it worked really well for us. So I think that I remember very clearly. So this was for the popsicles. We wanted to use some dry ice and create drama for it. So we used dry ice. So that's one. Move to the next one. Yeah, so even this, we could get only we could make only 3 or 4 scoops because it was in less quantity. So we had to get it right in the first go. And I think also what was interesting about the shoot was that the crockery, most of it, if you see, I think in the next shot might have it. Can we go to the next shot? Yeah, so basically the takeaway boxes were black in color. So it's very unusual, you don't see too much black used with food. But it worked so well with the food, and most of the crockery that they have in the gelato parlor is also black. So I think the food also, we had to make it really stand out, so we had to light it accordingly as well. So even if you see in this picture, the scoop that is taken, you can literally see the chocolate melting in the scoop and in the box as well. So we had to capture all of that, and if it was fake, we wouldn't have been able to capture this. So that was a challenge in itself, but yeah, it was good.
Yeah, a lot of people think that you can make it out of plastic and make it now.
No. So,
Uh,
so this was the mango popsicles that we shot. I really love the colors in this. And we used a lot of black crockery, like I said, to make the images pop. Yeah, the next
they
one.
are popping for sure. It's making me
Yeah.
agree.
So this shot also, so we had to show that this is one of the tubs that they have in the freezer. Okay, it is kept like that, and then when somebody comes, they scoop it out of this and they give it to the person who's ordered. So they wanted to show it as is. So we literally had to keep it in the freezer for like an hour or two before we could take it out and shoot. And there was a very small window, like say around 3 to 4 minutes to do it. So everything on our lighting had to be on a dummy, which was a non-frozen one. The tub had to be a non-frozen one, and we literally had to replace it with a frozen one. And we had 3 minutes to do the shot. And if you don't get it, then you have to wait for another 2 hours for it to refreeze all over again. So we had to get it right very quickly, very fast, because we also were there for very few days. I think only 1 or 2 days we had to finish all the shots. So I remember this is also one of the tougher shots, the food, and as well as the tub it was presented in to show the frost. Yeah. So this is again Vadilal, but it's with a different agency called the Co-Integrated, which is in Ahmedabad. So the brief was very different from the first shoot that I did for Vadilal, which was all white at that the first shoot that I did. So this was a lot of colors had to be used, and for every flavor that we had that we shot, the color had to be distinct. The props had to be very different, and it had to be very different from each other. It could not have a similar look. So this being the blueberry flavor, we used that. I mean, all the purples in it. So it is one of my most viewed picture on Behance, the
Yeah.
blueberry shot.
You're talking about colors, which basically means is this a fake? I mean, are they fake ice cream?
Yeah, this is fake ice cream, but
Well
also
made.
fake ice cream. Yeah, it's hats off to the stylist, because that in itself is an art to get the right texture on the ice cream, so that it doesn't look fake. Not many people can do it, so you have to have a very experienced stylist to do this. And even like like I said, every shot had to be done differently. So this one we had to create like a window. We wanted to show something which is outdoors. So if you see the behind, it looks like a window, but it was like a paper, I think a cardboard, that we kind of painted really quick because we wanted to make it look like a window. So we did it really quick and added it in the background with a few bougainvillea flowers which are outside the studio. We quickly plucked them and used them in the shot. So you have to think on your toes as well, on the job when you're doing the shot. Sometimes things might not go according to plan. So you have to think on your toes and be prepared.
Absolutely.
So this also, this is like one of my favorite shots, just because it has a really nice feel to it. It has a very holiday sort of feel to it, and it's a nice homely feeling. You feel relaxed. So that was the look I was going for, because usually you have ice creams when you are in a nice mood and you want to just relax, and the weekend's coming. So I just wanted to show that. So we went with the styling which is according to that. So this was one of the shots. Yeah, and then we come to pedigree, which is like the other end of the spectrum of sorts. This was dog. I mean, this is dog food. Everybody knows that pedigree is so popular. The thing with pedigree was that you don't think much. Say, oh, it's dog food. You won't need styling for it and stuff like that. But what you don't realize, and till I saw the product myself, what I didn't realize is that the chunks were like this tiny. The chicken chunks in the product itself were like so tiny. So this is the first time I used a macro lens for food for a commercial shoot. So it was a new experience for me, and it was very, very tough doing this, because first of all, the product is small. It has texture on it. It has gravy on it. So your food has to have texture to it. It has to have a shine to it, and it has to have amazing highlights in the gravy as well. So achieving this was a difficult task, but you know, I mean, once you, like I said, you know, once you keep shooting again and again, and when you have done so many shoots, you know how to go about the product, just looking at it. So this was one, and also, you know, I had never used stat focus, which people do in jewelry shoots, and I have not shot much jewelry, to be very frank. So I didn't know what was stat focus. So I literally had to do my homework before I went. I'd heard about it, I knew how to go about it, but I'd never really done it myself. So I did like a mock shoot myself at home before I went for the shoot, and it turned out really well. The client was really happy with this, and it's now in the market as well.
Next.
So yeah. Yeah. So now the reason I've included these shots, sir, is because you know, obviously it's for a fine dining restaurant, uh, but also it's a different task shooting for restaurants. It's a different thing doing it for packaging, because you have everything planned, your props are planned, your stylist is there to help you out. You know, the stylist, he or she will take care of the props and everything, the backgrounds. But when you're doing a restaurant, it's a completely different ball game. So this was also shot with the co-integrated agency, which is in Ahmedabad. So here it was shot for B Safal Grade 1 Estate for one of their fine dining restaurants. And I went for the shoot early in the morning. I was then in Delhi, so I flew down early morning for the shoot. And when I reached the location, I got to know what are the props available. Before that, I had no clue. And we had to do quite a few shots, and I had to take a flight back that night to Delhi at around 9 o'clock. So I had a very small window where I could figure out what are the props, how I'm going to shoot it, and everything, where I'm going to shoot it, what I'm going to do. I had a very small window. And since it is a restaurant which is not opened up to the public, they don't have everything in place. Like they have a few crockery, which is, I mean, some of it is quite is still wrapped, so they don't have everything on the floor. So you know, I literally had to go and see what are the things available for the shoot, what we can do, discuss with the chef how it can be presented, and things like that, and achieve the shot. So and we also wanted to keep it simple. We didn't want to make it too chaotic in the background. So this is one of the shots that I did for them. So this is the next one, pizza. This is obviously the pizza shot, but here I didn't want to use too many props. I wanted to use, you know, furniture, which was really, really interesting, that they had there. They had a pop of colors in the cushions and stuff. So I really wanted to incorporate it somewhere. So I think it worked beautifully for this shot. Since your pizza is in the foreground, it doesn't take away from your pizza, but the you know, pop of color is quite interesting in the back. So yeah. And this was, I think, you know, breakfast shot that we had to do for them. We had to show everything that was there. So here, the important part was the highlight on the egg yolks to make it look sumptuous, and on the tomato and stuff like that. So this is another shot that we did for them.
It's one of my good breakfasts that I'd love to have.
Yeah.
And
especially I know, sir, when you are wanting to get back to the normal life.
I know. Next.
So this was shot. Also when I was in my journey, I've shot for a couple of magazines as well. One was Ideal Homes and Gardens, which is an interior magazine. They also have a couple of you know, food shots as well. But this I shot for a magazine called Food Lovers Magazine, which is entirely focused on food. So this was shot at ITC Maurya, Delhi. Where, you know, they kind of wanted to create a drama with the dry ice for this dish. So I had to capture it in motion. And the dry ice also, you know, the effect is gone within like 2 minutes. So you had to take as many shots as you can and kind of make it look really pretty. So this was one of the shots that I used that got published in the magazine as well.
Is this also an award winner or no?
No, this is for the magazine. So it's not under the award category.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, let's move to the next one. Okay, now also I've spoken a lot about props as well for shoots, right? But here, like, this is short for this restaurant called Ambrosia Cafe and Delhi, which is which is at Marol in Mumbai. So this I wanted to play interestingly with colors, because we learn about the color wheel and everything in college and design, but we don't really think about it as much. So somewhere in your brain it gets ingrained, and you kind of remember these things when you're on the job. So when I saw the dish, I saw it had the dish was blue and the food was brownish, right? So that comes under the complementary colors. So I wanted to balance it with the yellow. So I asked for a yellow drink, and luckily for me, they also had a chair which had blue and yellow in it. So I incorporated the chair. But here, what I want to talk about is restaurant shoots are not only about shooting food. You also can incorporate, the interiors of the place or the furniture that they have, which is very interesting in your shots to make them look, intriguing. So I think that plays a very important role. If you see the right side of the picture, there is this wall which had a bit of paneling, gold paneling, and it had a very rustic blue. So I wanted to incorporate that in the picture, because they had it all, this huge wall on one side, which was entirely this blue wooden paneling with the gold. So I wanted to add that in the picture, and I think it added a nice effect to the whole picture as well.
Well,
But you
I
also
all over the place, you know.
Yeah, and also I think your food should speak for itself. It should not take away from your food. Your picture should look nice, but the hero should always be the food. If you cannot show your food as the main thing, then I mean it's kind of I mean the whole purpose is lost, because a restaurant is all about food, right? So that is what you should highlight. So this also, it comes under complementary colors. But what I like is, I have now started liking blacks after the Melton shoot. So this was also presented in black. So I wanted to use it in the center of the frame to for it to have that gravity. It has that punch in it, which kind of gets your attention, at once. And we've been taught rule of thirds in photography. They say, right, you have to remember the rules of third, but also forget about it. It has to come naturally to you. But sometimes you can break the rule of thirds and have your picture right in the middle, as long as it looks interesting. So I feel it's good to know, like, rule of thirds and stuff like that. You kind of experiment a lot on it when it comes to when you're in a college. Like in Shari, we were also taught about it, and we didn't realize it then. But then now when you do photography, you go back to what you've learned in school, and you wonder, you kind of think about it, how do I use it in a specific picture and make it look really interesting and pop. So I think these things are very important to learn in school as well. When you are self-taught, it is a bit of a task, and you tend to ignore all these things. But when you have a formal education, this is all taught to you, and you remember it really well. So yeah,
Well, I'm
we can
glad.
move to
Glad. Because yes, rules are there, but at the same time, once you've gone through them, you practiced it, they are meant to be broken anyway. You know? But that happens when you start getting into the seasoned category. When you worked a lot, then you're allowed, not a problem. Again,
So
thanks.
even this was shot for the same restaurant. I really love the interiors. So here, since I wanted to shoot it in different locations inside the restaurant, in different areas. So there was this table on the side which was attached to the wall, which had a very interesting texture of the wood to it. So the food was relatively simple, but I didn't want it to be kind of I didn't want it to get lost in the background. I wanted it to have that effect. So I balanced it with the texture of the wood. So I felt that once the wood is of the texture of the wood is seen in the frame, your attention will automatically also go to the food. So that's how I used it in this picture as well. Yeah. So now I come to my next genre, which is interiors. Um, so I never knew I was interested in interiors. I mean, I didn't have too much of an experience with interiors. when I was studying photography, because it never really interested me. I didn't know too much about it. But when I started assisting Jaideep, we did a lot of hotel shoots, and it blew my mind as to what all you can do with spaces, and how you can make them look interesting, and even the styling plays such an important role. So this was shot for Hyatt Goa, and this was shot for their calendar. And most of the pictures that they wanted to use, I think not most of the pictures, all the pictures actually in the calendar were going to be black and white. So this was shot with Red Lion Agency, again, which is a part of Publicis. So I shot with them. And this is one of their like really unique restaurants that they have, and it's very popular and well known in Goa, called Casa Sarita. And it's more like a heritage restaurant of sorts. So
Look like.
they want to show this. Yeah. So I captured those pictures for them. This was a fine dining space that had to be captured. I shot a separate assignment for them on my own, where they approached me directly for a hotel shoot that they wanted to use on their website and brochure and stuff like that. So this was one of the shots that I did for them for their fine dining space. So yeah, this was one of them. Yeah, and also a big part of Hyatt Goa is like they're very well known for their spas. And a very unique thing about the Park Hyatt Resort and Spa Goa is that they have they have an outdoor spa. Like you can view the whole, you can see the beach and you can see the garden and everything, the whole green area while you're having a massage. So that's what they wanted me to capture. So this is one of the shots that I did for them.
Yes.
And the styling also in all these shots, like, I had to do it myself because we were also short on time. And I didn't have a stylist with me at that point. So I had learned so much on the job when I was assisting Jerry, that, I had to take care of it myself, and keep in mind what goes into the styling of a spa and things like that. So also for this spa shot, for this particular picture, if you see in the outdoor area, there is, a sunken bath that is there, which you can do. There's a I mean, you can have a wash after your spa treatment in that sunken bath. So we had to add like these minute details of petals and stuff like that to make it look really interesting and nice and pretty. And even these oils that are used in the foreground kind of really add to the whole experience of a spa, because that's what they use when you go there.
What I find it interesting is that most people would have ignored the mirror on the left, but you lit the wall opposite that mirror so that it came out quite nice on the inside the mirror. It's pretty nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty nice. Yes, next.
I think somebody's messaged a question. So
Yeah, we will do that. We'll answer questions a little bit. We first go to the thing.
Sure.
Speed it up a bit.
Okay, so this one was again shot for Hyatt Goa for the wedding setups that they had. So this was done for them, and the Baratis were waiting outside. So I literally had, this was a Buddhava theme that they had. So they were literally waiting for me to finish my shot. I was given like 10 minutes to do this shot. So I had to do my styling, everything within those 10 minutes, fine tune it and click the picture. So yeah, that was a fast shot that I did.
Yeah,
okay, let's move to the next one. This was shot for Hyatt Goa, Hyatt Pune. For the restaurant called La Teresa. So this was again a fine dining. So I wanted to make it look clean, nice, and use minimalistic styling for it. So I asked them to remove a lot of things that were not necessary in the picture, and I did this shot and made it look classy and rich. Yeah.
Nice.
This was also for the same restaurant. Here we had to style, the place where they display food and stuff like that. Even the oil bottles had to be figured out where to be kept and stuff like that, and make it look nice and interesting. So that took time, but the shot came out well. So that's all we want, right? In the end.
But I think most people don't understand that in when you do interior spaces and all, one thing that happens is that it takes more time to set it up, because each and every chair and everything has to be in the right place. The napkins folded in the same manner, in the same place. Everything is like, we literally did it with rulers and stuff like that.
Very true.
They
very
don't
true.
understand how much effort that goes into that kind of a
We
thing.
take a measuring tape and have to have it perfectly aligned.
Yes,
So
yes.
I have a interesting story behind this, group of hotels. So Suba Group of Hotels is very dear to me because they are my first client that I did, that I had for a hotel shoot. So I didn't have a portfolio for interiors, so I really wanted to build my portfolio. But I didn't want to, like, kids do people do everything for free these days. So I was one of them, but I didn't want to do so much for free. I said, okay, I want to get my work done also, and I want to get work from other people as well. So how do you do that? So when I approached, I said I don't want to go to a 5-star and stuff like that because they have a ton of people approaching them. So I decided on approaching 3-star and 4-star hotels. So Suba Group of Hotels was one of them. So I approached them and I told them, see, listen, I can do an amazing shoot for you, but unfortunately I don't have a portfolio to show you. So can I do like 2 pictures for you? And if you like it, then you can work with me. So I did those 2 pictures, and the person who I clicked it with, his name is Tala. So I also showed him the pictures, and he was very happy with me, and he liked the work. So he went and showed it to the managing director, Mr. Mansoor Mehta. And Mr. Mansoor Mehta really loved the pictures, and he said, I want to meet this photographer and speak to her. So it was such an amazing experience because he's so humble and he really understood my work, and he really appreciated the amount of effort I have put in. He saw the amount of effort that had gone into the shot, and he told me, you have to shoot all my hotels. So from having no portfolio, I had all the hotels to shoot for him in Mumbai, and now they have hotels all over India, and I've done shoots for all their hotels, which are all over India. So, I think hard work really pays. Also, Suba Group of Hotels, when you shoot a hotel which is not a 5-star, how do you make it look luxurious? You have to use minimalistic styling so that it doesn't, like, you can't show, too many things in the room which are eatables and stuff like that, because that is not what 3-star and 4-star offers. They offer comfort, but not so much luxury as well. So that's a very fine balance that you have to achieve. So I think make it look clean, nice, airy. You have to have a good feel and good experience. That is what matters in 3-star and 4-star hotels. So that is what I achieved with with these pictures that I shot for them. So this is one. This is another one where I didn't show what is their outside and stuff like that. I wanted to show the nice text wallpaper that they had, and a few paintings that they had. It is simple, but it has an impact. So yeah, let's move to the
It
next.
sells the idea of neat and clean, so that's pretty nice.
Yeah. So even this, I really like to work with the pop of color that they had. So I balanced it with a nice bottle on the right hand side. If you see it, it also has a bit of red. It's these small subtle things that kind of really make the picture. You might not notice it right away, but once you start analyzing the picture, you'll know what has actually gone into the styling bit of it as well. So it's not only photography, it is also the styling that makes a huge difference.
There are a lot of people who will buy a 50 rupees, 100 rupees ka guldasta from the floor and come and put it in it and shoot the picture, and it looks so horrible that it's not a joke here.
Yeah, that's okay. Let's move to the
Anyway,
next.
Sagar, I'm going to ask you questions. Chill.
Okay, this was one of the conference rooms that was shot for them. So also conference room are really difficult to shoot because you have to align all the chairs in a particular way so they look aligned. Even if they are not aligned, when you stand beside them, from your camera angle, they have to look aligned. So we tend to use a lot of measuring tapes, and we have to put them at 1 centimeter here and there. The chair moves, it's out of sync. So you have to have it all aligned very quick, very properly. So that's why I wanted to show this shot. We can move to the next one. So this is one of the shots that I did for Ideal Homes and Gardens, which got published on the cover. This was for Mr. Manish Bhatt, who owns the agency Scarecrow. So this was done for his house. This was done, shoot done for his house. He has a beautiful house.
That is lovely.
Lovely house.
Lovely house.
So yeah. So I do products as well. So this was a mix of interior and products. It was shot for India Circus, which is by Krishna Mehta. This I again shot with Red Lion, which is a part of Publicis, and I shot with Elsie Nanji, who is very, very well known in the industry, and she has an amazing sense of style. So this was shot, this was a whole team that we got together and shot, and we wanted to keep the setup very clean, and it had to have these pop of colors, which India Circus is all about. So we had to balance that very nicely. So that's what we achieved in this shot. And these were used for magazine ads and newspaper ads.
And Elsie is in fact a legend in the industry, and at the
Exactly.
same time, extremely humble person who has no airs.
Very.
Just comes, does a job, cracks a few jokes, end of story.
And it's a huge learning process with her. You know, I learned so much working with her. I mean, it's a huge part of my journey as well.
True.
So this was also shot for them with pops of color, black and whites with pops of color. Yeah, we can go to the next shot. So this was shot for this brand called Taza, which is coconut drinking water. So we had to shoot, and they have different flavors like pineapple flavor, then they have jasmine flavor. So we had to incorporate the flavors as well and show them in the picture. And we had to make it look like it's kind of shot, it had to have earthy tones to it. So this is, I worked with an agency, but we kind of had to source all the props on our own because we didn't have a stylist on the shoot. So all this sourcing of props were done by the agency and me. So this is also a huge learning process for me. And the bottles were very difficult to shoot because it was not a round bottle. It was a triangular bottle. So the base was like a straight edge. So it was like this. You have to balance it somehow on the background. So that was a huge task in itself. So yeah, that was one of the shots. This was another shot that I did for them. Like you can see, you know what, transparent bottles are really, really difficult to shoot because of the highlights. So it took a really long time to light it up, and because we had to balance it with the background as well and the coconut as well. So it was, I mean, I learned a lot on this shoot as well. So yeah, this is, yeah. So this, now we come to baby shoots. It's a part of what I do. Yeah. Yeah, no, I'll tell you the story behind this. So this is what I do in my free time. It actually started when my older one was born. Her name is Ira. So when I was pregnant with her, you know, I started looking up videos of baby shoots and all because I wanted to capture her growing up and, you know, those initial moments where she's a newborn and stuff like that. So I started looking at a lot of videos and I got very interested in it, and I get consumed by anything I put my mind to. So that is one thing I got consumed by when I was pregnant with my older daughter. So I said, let me start shooting with her. You know, when she was born, I got props and everything, wraps and stuff like that. And I started, she was my first model. So I started experimenting with her, and that's how I got into it. But I do this in my free time. I usually do food and interiors more, but baby shoots, I try and do it as and when I get time. But it has become a huge part of my life as well because they are such cute babies. Like you cannot let go of them. You're like, oh, I want to do this all the time, you know. But yeah, there are a couple of pictures. These are all newborns. Usually newborns are done from the age group of 5 days old to 2 months old. 2 months are still older, but between 5 days to 1 month is a good time to do newborns. So this is a whole different genre, which will take another session to explain. But I'll just take you through the pictures. This is my younger daughter, Arya. This is a shoot I did of her, and yeah, I wanted to use whites and make it look more angelic. So this is one of the shots I did of her. Yeah, we can move to the next one.
Your lovely eyes.
Yeah, she has blue eyes. Thank you. So this is another picture which had a theme of, you know, like a rainbow sort of a theme. So I just incorporated, make it look like she's sleeping on clouds and there's a nice rainbow happening. So that's one. We can move to the next. Yeah, this is a 2-month-old baby. So it doesn't come exactly under the newborn category, but yeah, it's a part of it's a part of the newborn thing as well. They come under slightly older babies. You cannot make them do as many poses, and certain poses you can't make 2 months old babies do, which newborns can get into very easily. So these are some of the pictures I've done with 2-month-old babies. So she's one of them.
Okay.
Next. So this age category comes under 4 to 5 month old babies, where they can't really sit straight still, but they are very active. You can't have them in wraps, and they have a lot of expressions to give you. So you want to capture all of them. So this is one of them. This is the 4 month old category. Yeah. So that's my daughter again. You can tell by the eyes. So this is when she was, I think, 3 or 4 months old. So it's a very personal thing. Everybody has different styles. I like to concentrate more on the babies and less on the setups. And also I like to
Job with it,
go
sir.
into, sorry, what did you say, sir? I didn't get you.
I said even then you've done a decent job with it. So good.
Thank you. So these come under the sitter sessions where they are 6 months and above once they start sitting. So these are the sitter sessions. This kid is, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 11 months old. So once they sit, but they can't really stand and run around, you can still get them to pose for you. So yeah, you have to be very quick because their moods can change in no time.
Oh, yeah.
And this is a cake smash shoot that I did of a 1-year-old kid. That's usually done for their 1-year milestone. So this is one of the shoots that I did. This and the next one. Yeah. So capturing all those moments is like super important.
Interesting. That means you've gone from food to architecture, that is pictures, and then you've gone into babies. But anyway, even if something you do for fun, but if you enjoy doing it and you come out with pictures like this, I think it is very satisfying, you know.
Yeah.
And it
And with me,
also,
once
sorry.
No, I was saying once I decide on doing something, I have to do it properly, otherwise I don't do it. So even with baby photography, I went into the depths. I was like, if I have to do this, I have to do it properly, otherwise I'm not going to do it. You know, so that is one kida that is there in me, that if I do it, I have to do it properly, otherwise that's not something I'm going to do. So yeah. Do we have questions?
So we have a couple of questions. Let's answer them before you answer me,
Sure.
because
Sure.
otherwise they'll get a heart attack. Anyway, one is that somebody who says he's an anonymous attendee. I wish I had known his name, but anyway, can you talk about how you lit up the shots, especially for the pesto hummus shots, please?
Pesto hummus shots. Okay, so that was relatively simple. It's more like it's not very complicated lighting that was used. There were 2 light sources that were used on either sides because we could not have too much of light and shade in that. We could not have very strong shadows because we had to show the lighting. We had to show the ingredients very nicely. So it was a very basic setup, but there was a lot involved when it went to styling, as well. And also when you're photographing, it's not only about the lighting, it is about how you deal with the shot when you're doing it. Like I said, you know, when we had to do the greens, we had to do it in paths. So only once you have experience, you'll be able to do it in that certain way. So that is how I went about that one.
Just to help him out, if it's him or her, whatever, even though the lights are facing each other, there is of course a difference in the intensity. Yeah. Sagar, I think, is one of my students, ex-student from Delhi, I think. He says, a question for Prerna, what was agency's reaction after showing your final folios post assisting, and were they easy to give you work?
Okay, so see, to be very frank, everybody's journey is different. Okay, there are a lot of people who are from Mumbai who have friends in agencies and stuff. Like with me, I'm from Belgaum, so I didn't have anybody who I knew from agencies there. So for me, it was a different ball game altogether. When I had my portfolio ready, I had to go to each and every agency. So they want to see you already. They want you to have already shot with known brands to give you work. It's quite difficult to get that first break. But once you get that first break, it's relatively easy. I'm not going to say it's very easy because even after that, time and again, you have to prove yourself. So it was, when they spoke about layouts and what kind of pictures they want, I understood that. So that I think is very important to also know when you go to approach an agency. If you have no clue about what they are talking, they are not going to give you the job, because they can see it on your face. They know that you have no clue about what they are talking. But I think post assisting Jaideep, I had a fair idea about how to go about layouts and how to get there and achieve the final look. So it was not easy, but once I had my first break, it has been relatively simple. But time and again, you have to prove yourself, because there are always people who come and tell you, oh, but you haven't shot this. Like I remember I had gone when I was in Delhi for a brief while. I went to agencies. They were like, oh, you're a girl, but you have a good portfolio. So I'm like, what is that supposed to mean? Anybody who works hard can have a good portfolio. It's not necessary only guys can have a good portfolio. Even girls can have a good portfolio. But more than that, I think what kind of really stuck to me, and I felt that people will not give you work till you actually have done that kind of work, is that they told me, okay, but you don't have burger pictures in your portfolio. Maybe when you have burger pictures, you can come to us. We have those kind of clients. So also depending on what the agency shoots, once you know which agency you want to approach, build that kind of portfolio so they know you can do those kind of pictures, and then it'll be easier for you to crack the deal. That's what I think.
Interesting. But the portfolio which you carried, which worked for Jaideep, because we saw you carrying a proper book instead of just, on the phone or something. How did that work for you?
I think that worked very well for me, because see, what happens is that even if you've gone to a photography school, the person who is recruiting you should know how to do your work. Even after that, if you can't show anything, then that's not anybody's fault. That is your own fault, right? So once I took my portfolio of Shari to Jaideep, he knew that I know my basics. If he gives me a job to do on the set, which is set the light a certain way, or he gives me a brief, okay, I want this picture, this is the shot, I want you to light it in a certain way. Obviously, I'm going to just do the basic lighting, and he's going to come and do like the fine tuning and stuff. But they know that you know your work if you're coming from Shari, and you have your basics right. So I think that really helps, which otherwise wouldn't happen if you're learning from YouTube or something like that.
That is an important thing you just said, because a lot of people buy a camera and go and see a few YouTube videos, and then they call themselves photographers. Very funnily, there was an experience I had where one of them called up out of the blue, and they must have got my number from wherever. And he said, sir, हमने नया कैमरा लिया है, बहुत महंगा है, सब lenses ले लिया, हाँ YouTube में हमने देख लिया सब कुछ, तो अभी हमको काम नहीं मिलता, हम क्या करें? I said, well, if you bought Sachin Tendulkar's bat, maybe you would have become a cricketer, which is like very, very funny, the kind of stuff that's happening in these days. Now, there are two more questions. Yeah, that's very nice that I'm getting a lot of questions this time. One question is, are the ice cream shot natural? Most of them are shot natural. I think only the ones where she was talking about colors were the ones artificial, if I'm right.
So the pictures of Varilal where we had those colorful pictures, those were fake ice cream, but the gelato and everything that was shown were all real. So
there's one, Devang Bhandari is, hi Prerna, can you take us through your process of working through a brief from the agency to the final shot? What goes into it? Oh boy.
Okay. So this is a very nice question. Thank you for asking that, because not everybody knows, and I think it's very important to know. So when an agency approaches you, they will first tell you, okay, we have a certain layout in mind. So they will email you the layout, or they will tell you what it's going to be like. Once you take a look at the layout, you need to figure out, they will tell you, okay, we need a stylist or we don't need a stylist. All those things come into play. But when you look at the layout, you need to figure out what is it that the agency is going for, what is it that they're trying to achieve. So once you have a fair idea on what it's going to be like for example, like I told you about Med, when I explained about Melton, they were very clear that they wanted to go with a dark theme. Okay, but we had a brief idea on what the props are going to be like, but those are references, right? In reality, when you go to see, you're not going to find the exact same thing. right, so you have to make do, or you have to be very adjusting, and also you have to make best with what you get, right? So the props that we got and stuff like that, we knew what the backgrounds and stuff are going to be like. The food stylist had taken care of, no, sorry, the food stylist was not there on the shoot, so the agency had somebody who did that for them. We didn't have a food stylist on the shoot, and amazingly, the client herself, her name is Astha. She's the daughter of the person who owns Vadilal. Her name is Astha Gandhi. So she's married, so her surname has changed. But she is the one who went and learned about gelatos and started this parlor. So she did all this food styling herself, so which is very commendable. She knew exactly what she wanted, and that kind of made our job easier. But yeah, like when the agency comes to you, you have to understand what is it that they want. It's a lot of meetings also that happen to understand that everybody, to kind of understand where everybody stands and get everybody onto the same page, that we are going to work in this flow and this is going to happen, and on the day of the shoot you're going to take care of this, you're going to take care of this. So everybody, it's like a teamwork that happens, and on the day of the shoot, it's where all the magic happens. So that's how how you go about when you hear from an agency. I hope I've answered your question.
Well, they can always catch hold of you sometime on Twitter or Instagram or something and ask the question. We have anonymous attendee is making paisa vasool today, I think. Okay, he asked a second question. Says I don't know. Said do you charge differently when you have to do the styling yourself compared to when you have a stylist? Interesting question.
See, it depends on, to be very frank, how serious the client is. Okay. Sometimes you have to just refuse the job because you realize that there's a stylist that needs to be involved, but they are just wanting to cut costs, because of which they're telling you to do the job. So it's a very personal decision, to be very frank. And I think like with me, if I feel that a job needs to be done by a stylist and they're asking me to do it just to cut costs, I will not do that job, because I don't want to ruin the shoot for myself and I don't want to create a bad name. So I tell them point blank that if you have the budget for a stylist, please hire them, because this is not what I'm going to be able to do. And I don't want to have a bad name because of, cutting costs that are happening from your end. So I tell them point blank.
That makes sense, because what happens is when your picture goes in the market, the person who sees the picture has absolutely no idea if there was a stylist involved or not involved. So if the picture doesn't look up to the mark, he's going to say, Prerna, you screwed it up.
Exactly.
So why should you take that risk at all? Actually, the basic idea is that you have to work with a team, you have to work with professionals. The clients are going to be cheapskates, they're going to try to find a shortcut or something like that, and you will have to put your foot down. You need to understand one thing. I have a student who's in Pune, of all the places, and he refuses to work without stylists in Pune. And he refuses to do anything except food photography. And today that guy has made a niche in Pune and in interior Maharashtra. So which works. He hires the stylist from Mumbai to come there and do the job. And in the starting, the stylist was charging more than he was charging, for that matter. But it works. You have to have professionals on your team.
Also, I feel so that you are trained for a certain job. You know your job well, which is photography. You don't know that much about food to do it yourself, right? So you need to hire an expert who is, if the job requires it to happen.
There's one more question, but can I ask my question? Okay.
No. Yeah.
Harshit Lanan, okay. In one of the interior shots, there was a small refrigerator in which all the soft drinks and Tetra Paks were there. Was that in post, or that was an actual shot? It really came out beautiful. Shari Jay.
Thank you so much. No, and I'm quite surprised that you observed that, especially on a small screen. So that's really commendable. But no, that was not done in post. I try to achieve everything on the shot itself, so there's very less work required in post. As a lot of people also, say, "Acha post mein dekh lenge," but I am not one of those. When I was in Shari as well, and also when I was assisting, we were taught to get it right on the camera. and whatever you can't achieve on camera, to do it on post. So, that's, I think, a very important learning in Shari, and also when I was assisting, which was drilled into our heads, that get it right in the shot, and if need be, then you do it in post.
If I remember right, and that was the time I think when your batch was shooting with transparencies at my place.
I think ours was the only batch which got to shoot film and transparencies.
Film and
Ours was the
transparency,
last batch.
which
Yeah,
basically
yeah,
means, I think it was the last batch before the digital started. So basically, if
yeah.
you shoot transparencies, then even a 1/3 stop overexposure understand when the shot is finished.
True, true.
And there was no Photoshop or anything at that time, so that you could go in the back end and do anything about it. So I think you guys were lucky. You shot
We're
that.
very lucky.
You took
Very lucky.
yeah, absolutely lucky about that. Okay, a couple of questions that I would like to ask before somebody wakes up, which is fair enough. We don't have to shut. You can ask us more questions. Okay, the question here that I need to ask you is that being a married girl, like you said, you have 2 kids and this and that, right? Both are very pretty, thank God. You know, because so I mean, and I don't know, I love kids, so it's, okay. So how do you balance your home life? You have a husband, you have 2 kids, and then you have a career on this side. It's an interesting question because there will be a lot of people who would like to know how we can balance the two and still succeed in life.
Yeah, that's a very nice question, sir, because I think people really don't understand the amount of effort that goes into making everything work. I think, first of all, it's very important to have a very supportive spouse. I'm very lucky that my husband understands everything that I do, and he supports me 100% completely. When initially, and I'm very driven. Like, I want to do it, means I want to do it. I will not bother about, what is happening around me. If I feel very strongly about it, I want to do the shoot. So, he knows me very well. So, since the time I've had kids, we balanced it really well, because what happens is that sometimes he can work from home. So, usually I try and push for a shoot on a Saturday if possible. But most of the times what happens is, with agencies, they are not working on Saturdays. They work from Monday to Friday. So my husband very sweetly works from home on those days. But now that my kids are growing up and they're pretty comfortable with daycare, so some part of the day we send them to the daycare, and my husband comes from work early and takes care of them. So he's a very hands-on dad. So I have to really thank him. I've never thanked him. So thank you so much, Nitin, for taking care of the kids and being such an amazing husband.
That's so sweet. That's really so sweet. My normal question right now would be this: is that how much value I mean, of course, you answered it a bit. Is how much value have you put in post-production versus getting it bang on target? Of course, you taught you for bang on target, but there's a lot of people. I mean, on the day, even Vikram was saying that if I'm shooting 1,000 shots in a day, how am I supposed to come back and do the back end? So at the time of shoot, we finish the shot, and that's the end of it. But he was talking how well he plans the whole thing in such a nitty-gritty manner that he's sure about how it is going on.
So most of the time, 90% of the shot, you have to get it right on the. If you can, 100%, nothing like it. But that is usually not the case, and it's not possible.
Minor stuff is all right.
Yeah. So you have to get as much as you can on the day of the shoot, and there is always post-production involved. You can't deny that. It has become part and parcel of photography now. You have to do a certain part of it in Photoshop. So especially when you're shooting with agencies and stuff, what happens is, you have a layout. Sometimes you can't get everything into the layout. You have to add things later on into the layout, right? So that is where Photoshop comes in. But if you're talking about creating a shot out of nothing, that doesn't happen. Like, you have to do it on the day of the shoot. You have to get everything on the day of the shoot. Obviously, slightly touching up places where, the food is defected, or, it has some hole in it or something like that. That can be fixed in Photoshop. Your brightness, contrast, colors can be done in Photoshop to get it exactly right to the T, so it kind of matches when it goes out in printing. So that you can take care in Photoshop, but getting the actual shot, you have to do it in camera. You can't do, there's no other way around it. And but in restaurants, like, you know, I try and get 95 to 97% of the shot when I am doing it in camera. I want to get everything in the camera itself, because restaurants have very tight you know, deadlines. So you don't want to spend too much time on computer trying to fix what you hadn't taken care of while shooting. So I feel with restaurants, I try and get everything right on camera. It's very little that I do in post production, you know, to make the picture look nice. It's mostly done on camera.
Okay, we have Devang Bhandari again asking another question. He says, when you talked about approaching established photographers for internships as a beginner, what are the few things they are looking for or looking at?
Okay, so first of all, you know, they don't, not, I can't speak for everybody. I know a few of them, what they look for. So first of all, it's not only about your work, okay? There's few other things that you need to keep in mind other than photography. One is how you dress. You can't come in chappals and shorts and go to a photographer and say, oh, I want to intern under you. You know, you have to go dressed as a professional because you are entering a professional environment. They expect you to come that way to work, uh, looking professionally. So because they also shoot with clients who are quite high end, and they've made a name for themselves over the period of years. So they don't want somebody coming and acting casual about their approach. So I think that is very important. You need to dress well. You can't take it casually and wear tone jeans and tone t-shirts and go. That's one thing. Second thing is, I think uh, photographers really appreciate if you show them something in print. I know that's not always possible, but don't take a USB and tell them, okay, you know, here is my portfolio. Why don't you look at it on your computer? Or people really don't appreciate the fact that you send them a message on Instagram and say, okay, you know, I want to approach you for photography, and can you look at my portfolio? It's very important, I think, to pick up the phone, call them up, ask them for a date to come and show your work, you know, block the time for yourself and go show them the work in person. um, no casual approach. I think emails or phone calls are the best way. That's the only way for them to hear from you. And yeah, carry your laptop with you if nothing else. You know, don't carry your pen drive and go ask them to see your work. And if you can take a few prints, not your entire portfolio, but if you can take a few prints, please do that, because they really appreciate it. I think that's these are a few things to keep in mind when you're approaching a photographer.
Apart from that, I think they will want to be you to be technically pretty, you know, your basics
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
strong.
that goes without saying. You know, you have to
And
have a
they
fair
don't want
knowledge
to
of
be
a client.
embarrassed in front of the client when you don't even know how to put up
Absolutely.
light or something like that, you know.
Like a simple thing, when you have formal education, when you go to a school, you know, like when I went to Shari, we were taught about how to light certain thing, how to light things, how to operate the lights, you know, a lot of principles in Photoshop which you apply in your day-to-day shoots. You know, those are very important. When you go to a photographer, you can't expect him to be teaching you how to I mean, use a shutter speed or a aperture, or how to change the light, how many stops to change. You can't expect the photographer to tell you what is 1.5 stop, what should the power be. You should know when the person tells you, okay, I want the light increased by 1 stop, means what should be the change in the light, you know, that you have to know. You can't learn that on the job, that you have to know from beforehand. So I think, you know, studying at a professional school is very, very important. And Shari really taught me a lot in that aspect.
So one advice to Devang from my side is that, you know, there's a system in place in the film line, cinematography, in movie. When you go to a DOP and you ask for assistantship, you get number 14, number 15 is your, you know, either you are the 15th assistant or 16th assistant or something like that. By that time you come where you can touch the camera or something, it takes years, you know, because for that person to trust you with a multi-million equipment and all that kind of stuff, is not that easy for them to do. Yeah, so the same thing works with still photographers. The kind of equipment, the kind of stuff they work with, it costs lakhs and lakhs of rupees. And for them to teach you on that, कि चलो आज बेटा आज मैं आज तेरे को ये सिखाता हूँ, वो नहीं होने वाला है. Because the day that guy is not shooting, he's gone भाग के to find another client. You know, so it's a very long drawn out process when you assist somebody. It takes a long time before you get
Yeah.
to understand from zero to the final process. It takes very time. You expected minimum 5 to 7 years at least before you get. Now the thing is, you will only learn what he can teach you, or the kind of work he does basically, right? So anything else you can't do, which is the drawback in that particular situation. Here, like I'm finding such a lot of variety in Prerna's work, which is lit up with the slightly flattish pictures is because that's the way the client wants it. But if she wants to go crazy with her own personal stuff, we're doing a lot of chiaroscuro work. There's a lot of light and shades happening, things like that happening. But the client may want it differently. You will want it differently, you know. So it is totally up to you. Pehla, what kind of stuff you want to do. So you need to test every one of them, you know. So it's like I get students in say I want to be a fashion photographer, and I said terrific, fantastic, come start join us for fashion photography, you know. First time, because Shari has a habit that after the basics and the lighting and we've done about nearly about 6 or 7 months of education happens. That time, what happens when we give them a model, कि चलो model है, makeup है, hairstyle है, styling भी किया है, the whole thing team is put into place and everything. Now shoot. Why don't you shoot it? And at that time, the fellow is camera पकड़ के ऐसे हाथ हिलता है, you know, because maybe he's not a people person. He's not comfortable. So when I tell him, अरे बात कर, ask her to give you poses, and then she'll say, "चल pose." अरे what? चल pose थोड़ी चलता है.
So you
So
have to
what
direct them.
happens? You have to direct it. So what happens is, if you go through different types of genres, and suddenly you'll find, अरे fashion छोड़ो, मुझे ये ज़्यादा interested है. You know? Okay, last question for the day, Raj Shekhar Akkinapalli. Okay, I think I got it right. Has an agency asked specifically that you need to shoot with medium format camera? Oh, this is such a
Not
old question.
really. So I think you have to first ask the agency what their requirement is going to be. You know, what are they actually getting the shoot done for? Is it for packaging? Is it for a hoarding? Is it for a website? What is it that you're shooting for? And then decide accordingly which camera needs to be, what you need to shoot with. Sometimes what happens is that they might tell you we need a medium format camera and they want to shoot a website. Okay, this is not agency. Agencies know their stuff pretty well. But if you get a direct client who says,
Correct,
okay,
correct.
you know, shoot with a medium format and I want to shoot for my, website. So you have to make them understand that, listen, first of all, you don't have the, if the person doesn't have a budget for the medium format camera, if you are hiring one, that is, you should tell them that, listen, first of all, you don't have the budget for it. Second of all, it is not necessary for the kind of work that you want to get done because you're using it for web. So, so like maybe a 20 megapixel camera can also work. Your normal DSLR will work. You don't need a medium format camera. So these are things that people are not aware of. They just feel that, okay, they know medium format means they know photography, so they can direct the photographer as to what is to be done. But that is not the case. You have to kind of educate them and tell them that just because you know the name medium format doesn't mean you know photography. This is actually what needs to be done. So yeah, I guess.
Normally, I don't think any painter is asked कौन सी brand का brush use किया था या कौन सा color वापरता है. The guy does it, his signature works for it. So basically, Rajshekhar, you have to work very hard, make a beautiful portfolio, and you tell them very simple, boss, you do your job, I do my job. This is how I'm going to deliver. End of story. Learn to put your foot down. Okay. I know it's difficult, especially when you're starting and stuff like that, but it's better to work with a client who understands you and understands the way you work instead of working for somebody who doesn't care how you work, basically.
Yeah.
And
I
you're going
also want to
to
make a point.
tu kitna sasta mein kar raha hai, but that's all you know. Dump those guys. I know it's very easy for me to say that, but that's the only way I have survived all my life. I was so used to
No, I
dumping.
want to make a point here, sir, since you're already addressing this issue. You know that you should not, people who are especially starting off new, you know, I feel that you should, a lot of people do this, but you should not do it, is that shoot for free. Because nobody appreciates what you do. They just get the work done from you, they exploit you by using your pictures. They don't give you any credit for it. They just tell you, oh, you know, this is an opportunity for you to get more shoots. So that's everybody's answer. So please do not do any free shoots because that's a big no-no. and they will not appreciate anything that you do. So charge whatever little you want to, but do charge them so they realize your value when you're doing the shoot for them. They can't treat you like you're a nobody.
Well, I think we overshot our time by a heck of a lot of time, but which is fun because I think this is the first time we got a lot of questions coming in. You know,
I'm
it's
glad.
taking time for people to understand that this is a very different kind of conversation we are having here. So, Prerna, thank you so very much for being on the third episode on the Meet the Master Craftsman.
Thank you
I'm
so much,
so
Matt.
glad to see your progress. I'm so glad to see the kind of work that you've done. And as a teacher, of course, there's no better Guru Dakshina than when we see our students perform so well in life, basically. You know, so God bless and you stay safe, my dear.
Thank you so much.
Crazy
It was
to
real pleasure
yeah.
to
So
be
God
with you,
bless you.
and
God bless.
thank you for inviting me. Thank you
Wonderful.
so much.
Our pleasure. Our pleasure. God bless you, Veda.
Thank you.